So one day last winter, Kristen posed naked before her bathroom mirror and took a full-length frontal picture to send to her boyfriend TJ. They broke up soon after, and he sent it to another classmate of hers that was in 9th grade. This girl slapped on a text saying, "Ho alert, if you think this girl is a whore, forward it to all your friends." And she went ahead and opened her call log list and sent it out. In 24 hours, everyone knew Kristen in a more personal way. Starting high school is not only very difficult, but now she suffers from depression and anxiety from being bullied, and names like whore, slut, and skank now took control of her life. This story, believe it or not, it sounds like something that you would just hear on the news, but I actually knew a girl that went through this. And this practice is called sexting. And it's when you send a sexually explicit picture of yourself via text through cell phones. Charles J. and Kelly Arns cited in the journal Technology and Law the dangers of sexting in schools. Communication through technology occupies an increasingly greater role in people's lives, whether by way of cell phones and other handheld communication devices such as Blackberries and iPods, or internet access using computers. Not surprisingly, students and young adults have planned unanticipated applications for technology that raise significant legal implications for school, business officials, and other educational leaders. The most recent and most troublesome misuse of technology does include sexting. And there's very serious consequences: bullying, depression, low self-esteem, and even some legal action. So in the next few minutes, I will be discussing the gravity of this new area of problem sexting amongst minors and the effects that it has. First, we'll focus on the problem itself. There's a couple problems, and then we will figure out the cause of this and possible solutions that will hopefully lessen this epidemic. The first one is bullying and harassment, and then the second one is legal issues. So it can seem harmless to send a couple flirty pictures to your boyfriend, especially when you're trying to express your love for them. But as of 2009, 20% of teens admitted to sexting, according to the National Campaign to Prevent Teen and Infant Pregnancy. And this is cited by Michael Sullivan. And the truth is that teens are not responsible enough and do not know and think about the consequences that can happen when doing such things. And there is reasons why there is laws against this. The second problem is legal issues. Sexting can actually be classified, associated, or even treated as child pornography. In some states, as well as federal laws, the prosecutors do choose to move forward and prosecute the minor. A minimum sentence would be 10 years in prison for manufacturing and distributing, and kids could spend their lives on a sex offender registry mixed up with pedophiles and rapists. Chafe and Richard, and it's only a picture, sexting, smutly snapshots, and felony charges, says we have to find a way to distinguish between bad judgment and intentional criminality. Vermont recently changed its laws by creating separate charge for child pornography that can send convicted sexters to juvenile court. And this is what Richard has said: a new law is a new step in the right directions. And some states really do feel like if they make an exception to this, that they could possibly be setting up a road for an 11-year-old, a picture of an 11-year-old for a 35-year-old man to have it. So now let's go over the causes. One of them is the easiness of technology. That's one of them that sets up the mood for this. The widespread availability for camera phones is another one. West, R, and CP state how in journal smartphones, social networking, sexting, and problematic sexual behaviors, a call for research. Says technology nowadays have improved life since the 50s, but in the hands of mixed up and emotional children, it has its consequences and can be a serious handle if all not only to the children but the community and the government as well. Another reason or cause is also the media. Many can argue that children have a filter to the media, and that it's controlled. The sexual content that's being exposed is controlled. But Craig Watkinson, author of The Young and the Digital, he says teens are bombarded with more sexualized images than ever before, and under more culturalized pressure to be sexy and sexual at a younger age. All teens experience this, and that is a fact. So now that we know the problem and the cause, let's go over a solution so that we can lessen this. I think that communication is key. We need to have the community to be aware of what's going on in local schools, and also for classmates to know as well. The teachers should know about the consequences, and so should the staff. Know the law and convey it to your child. School teens are usually suspended, or they can even be turned over to law enforcement. Wyatt Jewison, author of The Handbook of Internet Crimes, part of being a teen is exploring sexuality and pushing the boundaries of rules and laws with it, and it has been like that for thousands of years. But the internet can be a very unforgiving place, especially if you were to put something online and it were to come back a few years later. So knowing the law and letting people know about it, like your community, different schools, high schools, telling your kids, can hopefully protect our children from these harsh penalties. Today we discussed sexting amongst minors and the cause and the school bullying and legal issues, as well as the cause, which is the media and the misuse of technology. So I just hope that all of us can take this into consideration and just be there for someone. I know some of us have like little brothers and little sisters. Just let them know what's going on. Now it's 7 minutes.
Who did we end up having?
I was just going to do it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I really liked the attention tonight. I thought it was really good. I thought the topic was really good because it is something that's becoming a problem amongst the youth today. You have really good voice control and it projects really well. And I thought that people you cited were good also.
All right, I like the example that you start with. It's pretty dramatic. You identify some reasons what the topic's important, and we kind of know where you're going here. You've got the material reasonably organized at the beginning of the speech. I thought that there were a couple things that were underdeveloped. The bullying and harassment issue, for instance, other than the example that you have in the opening, pretty much that's as much as it gets discussed. You went right into the complications with child pornography laws and the potential consequences to people who are involved in that, and I thought that that was probably a reasonable thing to talk about, but since you'd set up that other material, I was kind of expecting to have a little bit more material on that. The solution seemed a little bit ambiguous to me. It mostly sounds like know the rules, but you don't tell us what the rules are, and then connect that with the people, the kids in some way, and the closest we get is right at the very end when you say, so maybe talk to your younger brothers and sisters about that. It seems a little underwhelming and a little bit last minute. I think that the idea that there might be a separate set of laws or rules for people who are engaged in this unintentional kind of thing, or that's kids texting kids sort of issue. That's one thing. Distinguishing it from kids texting adults, that's a little bit more problematic. And I guess it was Vermont that has the laws where that distinguishes a little bit more. Maybe you could talk about that a little bit more. I thought you did a nice job citing a variety of information to show that there's important stuff going on each of these issues, and so that part was fine. The delivery, there's way too much reading. Whenever you got out of the reading, excuse me, I thought you did a fine job, but you really seem to be focused on reading all of what you've got there in your hands, and that seemed to me to take you out of the speaking situation a bit. All right.